The largest floating cranes in the world are not just engineering marvels. They are the powerhouses behind the most ambitious offshore construction projects. Let's talk about the giants that rule the high seas. SSCV Thialf, SSCV Sleipnir, and the Saipem 7000, the largest floating cranes in the world. First, let's take a look at SSCV Thialf, a vessel that, for decades, held the title of one of the world's most powerful floating cranes. Built in 1985, this massive crane measures about 201.6 meters in length and 88.4 meters in width. What really sets Thialf apart is its lifting capacity. With two cranes in tandem, it can lift a staggering 14,200 metric tons, enough to carry entire oil platforms or large offshore structures. Thialf's legacy isn't just about its size, it's about the impact it had on offshore construction. Back in the day, offshore oil and gas exploration was limited by the capacity to install massive structures in deep waters. Thialf was a game changer. It helped install some of the most significant infrastructure projects in the offshore world. It made it possible to build large oil rigs and install them hundreds of meters below sea level. The dynamic positioning system, DP, allowed it to stay in position, even in turbulent seas. This was critical because when you're lifting structures that weigh as much as a small skyscraper, precision is everything. What made Thialf so important in the 80s and 90s was that it was a machine that could make things happen. It opened up new possibilities for offshore construction, enabling projects that otherwise would have been too difficult or costly. Despite its age, Thialf continues to be an essential part of Hirama Marine Contractors' fleet, though as technology advanced, a new giant took its place, SSCV Sleipnir. Fast forward to 2019, and the SSCV Sleipnir enters the scene. If Thialf was revolutionary, then Sleipnir is the future. Sleipnir isn't just bigger, it's better in every way imaginable. At a massive 220 meters long and 102 meters wide, it dwarfs Thialf. But it's not just about size, it's about capability. Each of Sleipnir's two cranes can lift 10,000 metric tons, and together they can perform tandem lifts of 20,000 metric tons, the most powerful floating crane operation in history. Sleipnir was designed not only for heavy lifts, but for sustainability and efficiency. It's built to operate in the most challenging offshore environments, including waters as deep as 2,000 meters. It can lift massive oil rigs, offshore wind turbines, and underwater pipelines, all while ensuring minimal environmental impact. The fuel efficiency, stability, and safety built into Sleipnir make it the go-to vessel for the largest, most complex offshore projects in the world today. But what really sets Sleipnir apart is its dual capability. While Thialf was fantastic for lifting heavy weights, Sleipnir is not only about the weight, it's about lifting at unprecedented scales and distances. The sheer power of Sleipnir's cranes, combined with its modern design, means that it can handle projects that require the lifting of massive, complex, and often delicate offshore infrastructure. The two 10,000-ton cranes are precision tools that allow Sleipnir to undertake the most challenging offshore lifting projects in the industry. One of the most critical aspects of Sleipnir's engineering is its advanced dynamic positioning, DP3 system, a technological backbone that allows the vessel to perform incredibly precise operations, even in some of the harshest offshore environments on the planet. When working at sea, especially in regions like the North Sea, the Gulf of Mexico, or deep water fields off Brazil, the ocean is rarely still. Waves rise unpredictably, currents shift direction without warning, and high winds can push a massive vessel off course in seconds. This is where Sleipnir's DP system becomes indispensable. Instead of relying on anchors, which are slow to deploy, limited by seabed conditions, and inadequate for millimeter-level precision, the DP system uses a network of high-power thrusters strategically positioned around the vessel. These thrusters constantly adjust their rotation and thrust level in real time, counteracting the forces of wind, waves, and currents. This means Sleipnir can remain almost perfectly stationary, often within a tolerance of mere centimeters, despite being a 220-meter-long heavy-lift giant weighing hundreds of thousands of tons. Sleipnir is the future of floating crane technology, built to handle the next generation of offshore infrastructure projects. It's efficient, powerful, and capable of working in the most difficult offshore environments. When companies need to install massive structures in deep water or carry out large offshore wind turbine installations, Sleipnir is the vessel they turn to. It's already completed some of the largest and most ambitious lifts in the offshore industry, setting new records along the way. But let's not forget about the Saipem 7000, an Italian powerhouse that combines crane and pipelaying capabilities. Built by Saipem, this vessel combines two major offshore construction tasks, lifting and pipelaying, into one. The Saipem 7000 is another crucial player in the offshore industry, with a length of 198 meters and a width of 87 meters. Each of its two fully revolving cranes can lift 7,000 metric tons, and when they work together, the vessel can perform tandem lifts of 14,000 metric tons. What makes the Saipem 7000 unique is its combination of two roles. Not only does it lift heavy offshore structures, but it also lays underwater pipelines. The ability to do both in one vessel makes the Saipem 7000 a versatile player in offshore oil and gas projects. Its dynamic positioning system is just as advanced as Sleipnir's, allowing it to maintain its position even in the roughest seas. The Saipem 7000's capability to work in waters deeper than 2,000 meters makes it ideal for the deep-sea oil and gas industry. This vessel is one of the most important tools in the offshore energy sector, where the industry is constantly pushing further into the ocean to find resources. But it's not just about deep-sea drilling. Saipem 7000 is also known for its work in heavy lift projects, including installing massive offshore oil rigs and other large infrastructure projects. One of the standout achievements of the Saipem 7000 came during an offshore project in Libya, where it set a record by lifting a 12,150-ton offshore platform in a single lift. This record-breaking feat demonstrated not only the crane's power, but also the precision and stability required for such complex operations. It's no wonder that Saipem 7000 has become one of the most sought-after vessels for offshore oil and gas projects. These giant floating cranes, Thialf, Sleipnir, and Saipem 7000, are the backbone of offshore construction. They allow us to build infrastructure that would otherwise be impossible, enabling projects that bring us closer to tapping into the world's energy resources. These cranes make it possible to install oil rigs, build offshore wind farms, and lay pipelines across the world's oceans, often in depths that were previously unreachable. These cranes are also the key to unlocking the potential of offshore energy. With the global shift toward renewable energy, especially offshore wind farms, the demand for these floating giants will only continue to grow. The need for precision lifting, efficiency, and sustainability will drive the industry to innovate even further, and vessels like Sleipnir, Thialf, and Saipem 7000 will continue to lead the charge. So the next time you hear about a massive offshore construction project, remember the floating giants behind it all. These vessels are the unsung heroes of the offshore energy world. They are the ones that make it possible to explore the oceans, tap into new energy sources, and build the infrastructure that powers our future. These floating cranes may not always be in the spotlight, but their role in shaping the world of offshore construction cannot be overstated.